Universal basic income. Seems like a pretty simple concept, right? A government gives every one of its citizens, no matter who you are or the size of your salary, just enough money to afford the basics, like food, the electricity bill, maybe even rent on a cheap apartment. In theory, this guarantees that no one falls into total abject poverty. But would a universal basic income actually work? Would it be a benefit to society, or would it be so expensive and complicated that it could never happen? The universal basic income is getting a lot of attention these days because some economists and big-name techies like Elon Musk worry that robots might be taking our jobs.
AI is a fundamental existential risk for human civilization, and I don't think people fully appreciate that.
Artificial intelligence could fundamentally reshape the nature of work by making millions of jobs obsolete. For example, almost 3 million truck drivers in the US could lose their jobs to self-driving cars once they fully become a thing. But YouTube hosts are good, right? We're in the clear? Anybody? This isn't the first time that there's been a major shift in ye olde job market. Think back to the end of the 18th century. We're all farming, having a good time, when bam, the Industrial Revolution happens and the world gets turned upside down. Okay, now back to today. A universal basic income could help soften the blow for a lot of those people losing their jobs to the robots. Now, the amount of money you get would be, well, basic. In the US, it would be something like $1,000 a month, which puts you right at the federal poverty level, meaning it's the bare minimum the government thinks you need to scrape out a living. Now, here in the Bay Area, that gets me like half a closet and maybe 3 steak tacos. Maybe. A universal basic income is also, you guessed it, universal, meaning every US citizen would get the money, full stop. Even Bill Gates, although he would owe way more money in taxes to the government than what he got from the government. But most importantly, people could use the money for whatever they want, period. Want to use it to help pay for college or gain some new job skills? That's fine. Want to blow it all on Cheetos and Red Bull? I wouldn't recommend it personally, but the government wouldn't stop you. But actually making a universal basic income happen brings up a bunch of complex questions. How much money should each person get and for how long? How would the government pay for it? Do they raise taxes? Cut other benefits? And would it actually help to keep people out of poverty? Okay, so let's dive right into the main arguments for and against universal basic income. Giving people free money might sound like a classic left-right topic where liberals are for it and conservatives are against it, but there are actually segments of both groups that support it. Some liberals think that it's one of the best ways to fight what's been a losing battle, financial inequality. The world's richest 1% owns half of the world's wealth, and by 2030, it's estimated to increase to 2/3. Now, as the poor get poorer and artificial intelligence takes more jobs, a universal basic income might provide enough cash so that they don't have to choose between buying food for the week or paying the electric bill. For people that still have jobs, the extra money might allow them to pay for more education or put some money away for savings. Now, it's important to point out that the US already has a welfare system designed to help the poor. Programs like food stamps, federal housing assistance, and free and low-cost healthcare. However, all these programs require people to be basically broke in order to qualify. If you start making too much money, you can be kicked off. With the universal basic income, that money is yours, no matter how much you're making. You won't be penalized for making too much. Some conservatives like the idea of a universal basic income because it could potentially replace or significantly reduce the current welfare system, which cost almost $730 billion in 2017. That's almost 20% of the entire federal budget. Wow. A universal basic income would make government smaller, and it would put the choice of how to spend the money in the hands of the individual instead of having the government telling you what to do with it. Now, at this point, we haven't really talked about cost. Spoiler alert, it's also really expensive. And it's a big reason why a lot of people oppose it. If the federal government gave every one of the 300 million plus people living in the US $12,000 a year, the total cost would be around $3.8 trillion. Now that's a hard sell considering the entire federal budget for 2017 was a little over $4 trillion. To pay for it, one option is for the government to bring in more money, which means raising taxes, something most conservatives are firmly against. Many are also worried that giving people no strings attached free money would discourage them from getting a job, which could hurt the economy and make people even more dependent on the government. The other option is to cut back on programs we already have. Liberals worry that means killing programs like food stamps and housing assistance that directly target specific problems. Like, suppose someone gets the universal basic income, they're budgeting the money well, and then all of a sudden they get sick and have to go to the hospital. One day alone could cost $5,000 or more. That universal basic income money would then run out pretty fast. Now, what's tricky about evaluating all these different arguments is that we don't have much real-world data to look at. But that's changing. There are some experiments out there. Stockton, California is giving $500 a month to 100 of its residents. Finland is just about to end a 2-year trial run. And just this year, Kenya will start giving its citizens regular payments for the next 12 years. So until we get some data to look at, the debate over universal basic income is going to stay theoretical. All right, you all know the drill. What do you think about universal basic income? Good idea or bad idea? Let us know in the comments below. Also, there's a great show I want y'all to check out. 2 Cents is a PBS Digital Studio series about money and you. Financial experts and husband and wife team, Philip Olsen and Julia Lorenz Olsen, guide you through the complex world of personal finance, from the kitchen table to the New York Stock Exchange. You'll get practical knowledge about how to spend, save and earn, and insight into how your brain is hardwired to react to economic problems. Money might make the world go round, but it doesn't have to make your head spin. Check the link in the description below and subscribe to 2 Cents. They also made a cameo in our episode about cryptocurrency and the future of money, so make sure you check that out. As always, I'm your host, Miles, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.